Okay. So, speaking of shows or series in general, a bit on the anime side though, we talk about it all at this podcast. So, if you're not familiar, Fairy Tail, one of the best-selling, biggest animes and manga series of all time, and more importantly to this topic, the author behind it, Hiro Mashima, a whole legend. At a Comic Con not too long ago, they were attended and they were talking about obviously their works. And there was a quote that came from based out of a question that was asked. I probably should have looked for like a full article type of thing, but this kind of gives the point. They were, you know, people always want to know what people's inspirations are behind their works, and in regards to uh, how they kind of came up with and some of the inspiration behind Fairy Tale, they were quoted with, "To tell the truth, I wrote the story because I had no friends. My loneliness is what you're seeing." So, just to give some context, because I know maybe not everybody's familiar with Fairy Tale, Fairy Tale is what I would say, and this is coming from a person that just, I mean, maybe my tone doesn't express it. I read the whole manga. I watched the entire show, and for the time that I was the space that I was in when I was consuming it, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's like there's so many elements of the story that I really enjoy. The action, which is one of the biggest things I look at when I'm consuming a series, was on point. And it just really fit the mold of a lot of the other series that were currently running when the manga was running, at least. But if speaking very objectively, one of the things that Fairy Tale is known for, and once it starts to give indication of why he said that, is it's a very, like, when you think of standard anime, you have a protagonist or a protagonist. They're very fueled by the power of friendship. Like, my friends are in danger, I'm going to save the day. I'm going to, like, even though we're fighting somebody that's way stronger than us, the power of friendship is going to compel me to level up in the middle of a fight and go Super Saiyan. It's that kind of thing. There's a lot of pretty commonly used or average anime tropes in the show and in the series. Um, yeah, but I had no idea this was inspiration. It kind of clicks because again, friendship is the pretty much driving force in the show. To kind of give you an idea, and I guess to even give more context, the general content of the series without kind of getting into super spoiler. It's just a it's just a it's just a show or a series about wizards and them fighting other other guilds and other wizards that are trying to ruin their day, so to speak. But also kind of gets into like what a world looks like when there's magic and when there's dragons and all that good stuff. If you're ever looking for a super basic action based manga or anime series, I would actually recommend a couple others before I tell you to get to that one. But it's one of those ones that are just so like standard, that you probably have come across it in your time to some degree. And also because I'm objective and transparent more than other people, I will acknowledge the fact that even though I get a decent level of enjoyment out of a series like this, uh, it does have a bad reputation for in a lot of anime and manga communities, even going so far as to go down history is called fairy fail. But I digress. The main thing here is yeah, the author, who is still a whole legend. I don't care what anybody says. Said this quote, and again, it makes sense if you understand what the series, uh, like what happens in the series and what the series represents. But I'm kind of curious to know what y'all think about this quote and this I guess what he even means behind this. Do you think that well, it's always understandable or typically understandable, like art is going to be reflective or inspired by what the artist experienced in their life. Does that make you, I don't know, does that make overused or super commonly used like tropes more digestible, or does it make you like give it more of a chance, or doesn't this really not does this really not make you interested in a or yeah, does it not really feed into your enjoyment or your interest in a art or media like this? When someone would go so far to say they made a story about, you know, the people that use the power of friendship to solve their problems because they themselves, you know, experience a time of loneliness in their life. What do you think of all this, Ghost? Start with you.
Um, I mean, I don't think it would impact my initial perception of the series either way. Like, not like hearing this author's uh like how we originated fairy tale, which I've heard of, haven't seen. I think it's kind of cool, but I don't
Okay.
think it's something that would impact my like perception of the series. Like, I don't think I'll be more inclined to give it a chance if I thought, "Damn, this is kind of trash," but because he wrote it with this in a certain mind frame, or because he wrote it not having any friends, then I'm like, I'm gonna stick it out just because of that. Like, I don't think I would approach it like that. The origin of how an author begins work does have some small bearing, I guess, on how I perceive it. Like, a lot of the stuff I read is fantasy, and if I
This is
get the
definitely a fantasy
impression,
series. Sorry.
yeah, if I get the impression that this it's some type of wish fulfillment, and a lot of there's a lot of like unrealistic or idealized things that are coming about because of that wish fulfillment, and that in turn is like, and I can see it in the story, that's when it would kind of like something I maybe wouldn't have noticed or cared about, picked up on before. Then I look at it and it's like, oh, this, they're just trying to wish this into existence. So yeah, I think it might have a slight negative impact, but if it's like a fairy tale, this is, you kind of look at it as wish fulfillment, I guess. If he wants friends and he's writing this, like, damn, if I was in this position, I would have this friends and stuff. If the story's good, I wouldn't care about that. Like, it can be wish fulfillment, still be good, but if it's contrived or just kind of bad, and it's because of a certain reason, like that's a lot big reason why like harem stuff is kind of cringe to me, because
Super
it's
cringe.
like, I'm not what I don't actively go out and read harem manga or romance manga stuff like that. If it comes up in a story, then I'd say romance, particularly not harem. So if it comes up in a story, it's like it's cool, it's whatever. But a lot of the times, a big problem I have with anime specifically is it'll be just a lot of wish fulfillment in, oh, I'm a loser who has nothing going for me, and in real life I couldn't talk to a girl, but in this fake series people falling over me because of some secret hidden trait that I have that isn't that's when I'm like, okay, bro, I see what you're doing here and I don't like it. So yeah, again, all that really matters for me, if it's wish fulfillment, if you're writing what you know, if you're writing what you don't know, it needs to be good and engrossing in some manner, to where I look at it as like, yeah, this is a story and it's good, not just some random BS that you're writing because you wish you were cooler.
Yeah, yeah, I actually really pick up what you're putting down, and I think that's a really good example. That's another, you know, as a person that consumes a decent amount, overly used trope, the protagonist having every even slightly attractive woman in
Oh
the
my
series,
god, bro.
they all want to be close to
Yeah,
him.
yeah.
And yeah, that can definitely be a manifestation of wish fulfillment or something to that effect. So yeah, I definitely, yeah, I think you're actually really on point. Um, how about yourself, Ace? What do you think when you see a quote like this from an author? Um, do you think it would make you be more understanding of a overly used trope, or does the content have to speak for itself completely?
For me, yeah, I think the content just has to speak for itself. I don't, I don't really pay attention to um tropes too much as far as like whether or not I'm going to read or consume a piece of media. Uh, Especially after catching up in One Piece and my preconceptions of that being completely blown out of the water. Um, at this point, there's pretty much like if somebody suggests something to me, there's pretty much no. I don't think there's really any story that I wouldn't be willing to at least give a chance. Even if you said like one of its tropes is based around friendship, like I was okay. Well, let's see how the author uses that and pulls it off. Like I'm not just gonna say, well, no, that's not something I'm into.
Well, I'm also talking about
Yeah,
the perspective of something that you might have consumed. Like, what if you consume something and it it follows a lot of the like basic concept that you're seeing, like you've seen in a hundred other series. Um, like, doesn't that move you sometimes to be like, dang, this is like the th time I've seen this type of thing.
so you're saying like if I've seen it a lot of times and then there's a new piece or there's a new
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
piece of media.
I'm trying to think of more examples than ones that are outside of anime. What's that term when there's a like Deus Ex Machina type of thing? Like they like the protagonist just stumble upon the thing that they need to solve the problem at hand.
Yeah,
Mm.
I mean, it is interesting because I have thought about this. Like, there are a ton of tropes that get redone and across various forms of media, and I have thought like, how is it possible that people are still like, or not even people are still making new things interest me, but that that I am still constantly reading or watching things that blow me away, even though the actual mechanisms by which things happen are not necessarily new to me. Um, I don't really know why it works, but for some reason, if the author is telling a compelling story, it doesn't seem to matter if they're using a trope. It
Mm.
can still work.
Like
So like you
tropes are
said,
not inherently bad. Like they're tropes for a reason. A lot of
true, that's
tropes are
very
great.
true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but we acknowledge some of
that's
them.
very
There
true.
are some tropes that can be
Yeah, without a
overused.
doubt. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I guess the hard thing is how do you actually say, or what what is the trigger for me when it's like, okay, this feels overdone versus it worked in another thing. I don't really know what that is. Maybe it's just like a feeling that the author was phoning it in versus um actually telling a compelling story and using I don't know, kind of like using the tropes to move the story forward as opposed to just completely relying on them. I don't know, but
Is it a predictability thing? Like if you expect something's a trope is coming and it happens and you're like underwhelmed, but if it catches you off guard, even if you've seen it in other media,
that
it's
could be it. That could be it. That could be it.
You
That
know,
could very well be it. Yeah.
one thing that comes to my mind, just leaning on like One Piece, since that's what you consumed. Although One Piece is kind of like an anomaly because even though, well, one,
why does it always come back to One
Oda,
Piece, bro?
because he mentioned it, he just consumed it. So I'm trying to relate to what do you can. I just
That
said the
that's
reason.
fair, I guess.
Even though Oda is like uber relies on or leans towards like other, I don't want to say trope, but just like you. I don't want to get spoiler territory, but like there's a lot of references in One Piece to cultures and
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
things of that
Right. Right.
nature.
Right.
But one, I guess, thing that I don't know if I think Oda just so good he beats the test of time. He just beats the test of time. But like the protagonist that's kind of like basically an idiot, but still gets
Yeah.
by,
Yeah.
and is likable and but they can't even like they can't even go like in a straight direction for too long without messing stuff up. I think that's something that people get annoyed with when there's like a dumb protagonist and stuff like that. I'm just trying to think of
Hmm.
examples.
But yeah, I mean that's a great example. But it works like 1,000% works in One Piece versus. I mean, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but I can easily see it not working in another in another story. And
Or sticking
again,
with
like
anime, but I'm sure they do this in like other medias. The like anti-hero kind of rival, the Sasuke archetype of character.
mhm.
I think people get tired of that. But again,
Yeah,
I guess it just depends on if you do it right. But
yeah.
it seems like it doesn't really affect you too much though, in general
Oh
case.
no, not really. Like I said, if I find something to be good to me, it's good.
Huh?
It doesn't really. It doesn't. The tropes are not the the issue per se. It's more so I don't know whether the story is compelling to me.
Oh, I think What about the overuse of like fan service sometimes?
Mm, mm, nah,
Dang,
nah, I don't think so.
this ninja's impervious.
Yeah, yeah. Fan service really annoys me. Really pisses me off.
It definitely gets like to a point and where it's just like, all right, I got you.
We
You know
get it,
what?
bro. You're
You know
horny.
what's
We
you know
get
what
it.
series is almost ruined by almost, but it's like they're kind of almost doing it intentionally. Fire Force. That was
I've
Mhm.
heard that was notorious. I haven't seen it.
like they like you'll there'll be some time you'll just like sigh at it, just a long sigh because like come on dog.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say I don't think I haven't watched enough, but or enough anime with fan service, but I think High School of the Dead is a show that I watched that was pretty full of fan service, and I think the it was still like it still had enough. I mean, the action, the animation, and that was extremely good. So maybe that just negated it. But yeah. Either way, the story is compelling enough. I think I can look past it.
Fair enough, fair enough. One thing we're never gonna do is try to make somebody not like something they like they consume or whatever the case may be. But yeah, I think in general, I think some things are just beyond tropes. Are just kind of reflective of what people could imagine and would could happen in their story. And obviously, there's nothing new under the sun. So some things you are going to see happen time and time again. It is definitely super open and honest for somebody to flat out admit that I wrote this story, or a part of the reason why the story that happened the way it did is because I had no friends. So I definitely have to give a salute to Hero, and obviously he's just a whole legend. So even if he said the most quote unquote embarrassing thing ever, yeah, I think he would still be honorable in a sense. Yeah. If other works that you may or may not know is Rave Master, that's also one of the biggest and uh what's the word I'm looking for? Beloved, something to that effect, series of all times. So yeah, definitely a man of many great works, and just a legend. And he was given and he's inspired by um Akira, obviously the creator author of Dragon Ball. So you can and the works are definitely you can definitely see the inspiration. So it's not just based off loneliness. He definitely inspired by other legends in the manga and anime industry. But if there's nothing else, we'll go on to the next topic.